And Sinawo Thambo is the national spokesperson of the Economic Freedom Fighters. So they would have been in the opposition benches when Mabuza was deputy president and leader of government business. Sinawo, good to have your time on the SABC this evening. What is the EFF's position this evening as the country processes the death of David Mabuza?
Look, the EFF mourns the death of David Mabuza as someone who was humble in approach and who always showed respect, even to those who are opposed to him. And I think one of the most memorable things we will have and remember of him as a leader of the ANC is that he's one of the only presidents, or deputy presidents rather, who did not serve a term as a president of South Africa. And he did not utilize ambition or that personal affection to himself to cause disorder, not only in his own political party, but in the country as well. He stepped aside and with grace and with honor, and allowed the country to proceed without him on the sidelines, and constantly also expressed his regrets personally in the role that they have played to the degeneration of the state of governance, not only in his political party, but in South Africa. And then as an opposition party, we deeply respect that.
And do you then say, Sinawo, would it be fair to say that even though you are from a different party, those are lessons that you would draw from, especially as someone who is still new to political leadership and the role of a legislator?
Look, I think it's something to learn from, the ability to self-reflect, to admit the mistakes you've made and how harmful they may have been to broader society, and to also step aside when there's a broader collective that expresses that you do not have faith, you need to take up specific roles of responsibility. I think there is a huge sense of humility in a leader. It's something that's rare in society today, something that has led to bloodshed in our country when people have allowed their names to be used to sow disunity before. But David Mabuza was not such a person. He was someone that should be respected for that, and someone we should all try to emulate in future as exemplary leaders who are going to be able to correct themselves and account to the people of South Africa when they've caused harm, and hopefully step out of the way when it's necessary to do so.
You talk about emulating David Mabuza's example. How would you say that's going right now?
Look, I think as the EFF, we've gone through our own internal challenges as a political party. There's a lot to learn from David Mabuza in that regard, how we approach those internal challenges, how we characterize them, and how we communicate ourselves to society stemming from those challenges as well. So I think that is something that we can draw lessons from. That is something we draw lessons from in a progressive manner. And you can see today the EFF is being a much more effective opposition, constructive opposition that cooperates with those who are in power when it is conducive to do so, but also calls them out when they're stepping out of line. So I think we're on the right track.
And earlier, I was speaking to one of the Deputy Secretary Generals of the ANC, Nomvula Mokonyane, and I asked her a question about what she thinks will be Mabuza's enduring legacy now that he's passed on. What do you think will be his most lasting imprint on South African politics when you consider the level of influence that he held, even at provincial level? We recall how, and in fact he even spoke about this, that in the ANC he basically had never bet on a losing horse, even in the many factional iterations of the party. But more broadly, what do you think will be his lasting imprint?
I think it will be resilience, it will be endurance, but also the humility to step off the dance floor when the time comes to do so, and not be a hindrance to broader progress and development in the country. I think that is something that must be marked as his legacy. He was not someone without his own flaws, but I think let us draw the good from that, and we wish his family, his comrades in the ANC, peace in this difficult time, and express our condolences in the organization.
And it's only been a few hours, once again, since we heard the news that David Mabuza had passed on. Would I be right in saying that the EFF, especially the national leadership, including Julius Malema, will likely go to see the family in their moment of bereavement?
Look, we're in those deliberations to not only express our condolences to the family in a physical manner, but to also attend the funeral. But of course, we must await communication from the political party he died belonging to, and from the family as well, to what those arrangements will look like. So we await our own internal deliberations as how we're going to approach the situation, but also respecting that the political party and the family need their own moments to come to terms with what has happened.
Sinawo Thambo, thank you so much for your time, Sinawo, this evening. He is the spokesperson, the national spokesperson for the Economic Freedom Fighters.